Talk. I'm your host, Dana Johnson, and joining me this evening are my special guests, and I thank them for joining me because we have been friends/family for over 30 years. I'm just going to take a moment for them to introduce themselves to our audience.
Hi, I'm Danita Lee Johnson.
Hi, I'm Vicki Lee Jones.
Hi, I'm Wendy Lee.
And hi, I'm Teresa Smith.
Thank you, ladies, for joining me this evening. We are seated in the 53210 district in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Charkeist Banquet Hall. It is a pleasure to be able to bring this full circle because this establishment is owned and operated by one of my high school classmates. So I thank you, Charles, for allowing us to be able to be in your space today. And I thank these ladies for being able to join me as a first of hopefully many panel discussions so we can talk about the importance of mammograms for women over 40. And not just specifically that, but also just for people who look like us. Because it is important to be able to have that conversation. So I'm going to start the questions off with, why do you feel that it's important for us to be able to have our annual mammograms? Teresa, would you care to start us off?
Well, at 61, I started having mammograms probably when I was in my mid-40s. And I knew it was important because I had a doctor who felt it was important. So she made sure that I had my annual exam. So, you know, being 61 and doing preventive maintenance at that stage in my life is important because I have no problems.
Wonderful. And it's great that you pointed that out because rarely do we see doctors that are proactive in that light. Not to shun any doctors that don't give that extra, but to be able to have that doctor who is your backbone and constantly coming to you, Teresa, it's time, Teresa, it's
that
time.
Annual exam is going to happen. Absolutely.
Exactly. And then you have no worries from that point because you know that she's got your best interest at heart.
And I know you guys agree.
Yeah, most definitely.
Wendy, would you care to share your perspective on that?
Well, yes. Now, for me, it's a little bit more personal because my mom, about 10 years ago, she did have a breast cancer scare. But because my mom is more of a preventative. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's get it together before it messes up. Okay.
All right.
That made me be a little bit more alert about it because I was one of those. I was one of those thinking, you know, I got small boobies, so I don't have to worry about that. I really did. And she made me realize that that's nonsense.
Right.
And I mean, she was 74 when that happened, but because it was in her genes, it made me realize I need to get checked. I need to tell my daughters because it's, you know, it's in our bloodline somewhere.
Exactly.
So for me, it made me pay attention more and pay attention to my body more. And then, you know, telling my kids the same thing. You know, you got to start early because it's in our family.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you brought that up in relationship to not only your mother, but going the extra level and making certain that your daughters know. So, as you all know, when my mom was diagnosed, she went through all the stuff. She lost her hair. She went through all of the different things that you need to go through. And once it hit that 7-year mark, typically that's when you know that you're in remission and they say you're okay. That didn't happen with us. When it got to that point, it came back and it came back aggressively. And all my brother and I know is receiving a call from our dad around the holidays saying, okay, we need to talk.
Right.
We thinking we going over there to talk about Christmas.
Right.
You know, because it was the holidays, as we should, because that's just how our family gets down, much like how your family gets down. And we get over there and it's the hard, serious talk. And I feel like people should understand that I do not care who you are or what you are going through. Your grieving period is your grieving period. So we are now past that 20-year mark, and I still have my moments over the holidays where I'm just like, I just need a minute. Or you may not, you know, be in that space. So it's good that you say that because when she passed, we had the same OBGYN, and she made a point to make extra special care to make certain that I did the things that I needed to do because she was the first of any, kind of thought process for us to be able to understand what women go through. We're like now coming full circle 2 decades later, there are more things where I can be able to be like, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. Where back then that wasn't the case. So I recall we had a mock Zoom meeting before we got together, and I usually have conversations or emails with my guests to just give them some insight into some of the questions that they'll be asked. So we can all, just come around the table and be able to have this discussion. And within that discussion, Vicki, I recall you stating that your doctor also is very proactive in her approach with you. Would you care to share some light on that?
Yeah, my doctor is on it. She makes sure, like Teresa mentioned about her doctor with the preventative care, that's her thing. Like if you come in early, we diagnose something, at least we have time to figure out what the problem is. And so during the pandemic, I did not go to the doctor. As soon as everything was over, she was calling me. She had her nurse's assistants calling me, reaching out, we need you in here. And I've already put in the order for your mammogram. So when you called, I had just got off the phone with my doctor scheduling my mammogram, and then you called about this. So talk about full circle, right? And so she's all about preventative care, and I've been with her for over 10 years. So she's very well in that perspective.
But you know what, that's what's important, because
Yeah.
you've been with your doctor 10 years. Your doctor
That's
knows
true.
you, and I have a relationship with my doctor as well. So it's important that people establish relationships with
Yeah.
a doctor.
Yeah.
Especially just you need a primary care physician.
Right.
You need one. So
Right.
they need to be able to establish that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's key because I've come across within my advocacy work where women and men who suffer from breast cancer have said, I've had to change my doctor, I've had to change my doctor. And the questions are, well, why? And some of those questions come up because they just don't get me, or they're not advocating for me, or they're not answering the questions that I feel that need to be answered. So it does go back to what both of you have shared, that if you get that primary care person who is like your right hand, it does allow you to be a little bit more comfortable, and you feel more engaged within those conversations of how it's going to take care of you, because you want it to be like how you do with your job.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's your body.
You
It's
know
your
that.
health.
We know
Yeah,
that.
right. And not only that, this doctor I went to for something totally different.
Wow.
I started with her on a whole different health problem that I had, and I loved her so much. I was like, I need you to take care of my head to toe. So that's how she and I established our relationship, and it's been going strong. And even after the pandemic, when she reached out to me, I was like, this lady is calling me. Okay, I get it. I'll be in. I'll be scheduling something. Right?
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Dee, we haven't heard from you. Would you care to share your perspective?
Yes, just like everyone has said, I have a doctor that's very proactive as well, and I've been with her for over 10 plus years as well. And even during the pandemic, she was like, you can still come in. We're gonna have our masks. We're gonna be 6 feet. And so I still set up my appointment. And matter of fact, I go the same time every year. I go in October, and I go get everything from head to toe in October. So I do my preventative things and for wellness and all of that. So I do my mammogram at that time, set everything up so I won't forget. And she won't let us forget. She sends out postcards and things on that nature.
And if you're online, I do myself online. Sometimes I get notifications that.
Well, that's how she ended up reaching out to me through my chart. That was the first notification, and I didn't respond.
Yeah.
I didn't respond.
See?
She started calling me. I'm
You
like,
got-
oh, okay, let me call this lady and set something up. So,
Right.
I love that we kind of engaged and talked about how people were affected during the pandemic, because as you all know, I advocate in the state of Wisconsin, but also nationally in DC. And because of the pandemic, there were a lot of things that were cut because of that. But with the advocacy work, we were still able to advocate with our congressmen and congresswomen, and we did it virtually via Zoom, which a lot of us were still able to do with work and everything. But with that being said, those are some of the conversations that came up with some of the scientists and some of the doctors wondering, well, what are people saying behind the scenes? How are patients feeling in regards to having to come up and have those conversations, like how Dee mentioned, okay, so you can still have a mask, or are you gonna do this? And just making people feel comfortable, because there were so many things that were going on the news where I think people were in fear of this new normal that we had to get used to, but thinking, I'm not gonna go to my doctor. And shying away from it.
I was definitely in that mode because I didn't want to leave the house. So
like Dee, I went. My
Yeah.
doctor made sure that I was safe, and we had our, masks, and you, on a couple occasions, you need to make sure that you're not positive. So
Exactly. Exactly.
I wasn't in that mindset during the pandemic because we didn't know.
Right.
So I was like, I'll see you when they figure this out.
Right.
I was scared.
Right.
But it was, I felt like I still had to do it, so I just did it.
I love that.
I mean, and previous to the pandemic, that was my first mammogram.
Wow.
And after the first one, I was like, I'm never doing this again.
See?
But my doctor was like, oh no, Vicki, it's fine. It's
Right.
30 seconds of pain, you will be okay. Like,
It's really not painful.
Right.
It's a little discomfort, but it's not painful.
Everybody doesn't feel the same.
right.
It's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute,
Stop. Oh, serious.
But it's for my life, so go ahead.
Right. Just hurry up. Right. Get it over with.
It's
So.
just, okay, all right, I'm kidding.
Whether it's
It is not painful.
painful
It's
or
just
not,
not.
it's still an important thing
Yeah.
that we
It
have to
is.
do as women. You know, we have to take
Yeah.
care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Things as well. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the only.
So just taking that into consideration, so the fortunate thing with the Pink Table Talk, we've had the opportunity to be able to speak with women across the country, and we broadened our audience, and in having this kind of panel discussion, it gives us those very opinions that we can be able to look forward to. So Wendy kind of alluded to the fact that with her family, it now has become like generational, and she wanted to have that conversation with her daughters. So I know that you all are aunts and cousins who are women. Would one of you be able to share your perspective on someone else that you may have mentored or you may have spoken to? We'll address one of your thoughts, and then we'll take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back and have a couple other opinions. Who would like to
Well, I
begin
know
that?
with our family, we did have a scare with our grandmother.
Okay.
And so with that being said, Wendy's children are my nieces.
Okay.
And so they really need to be cautious for both sides of the family.
Right. And my cousins.
Right, exactly. So with that, that's something else that needs to be thought about as well, because they have it on both sides of the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that gives us a different way into which that we'll look at it. So at this point, we're going to take just a quick commercial break, and we'll come right back with more detailed conversations about why is it important to have your annual mammogram, especially for women who are over 40. Thank you.
As a breast surgeon at Ascension, Wisconsin, I want to remind women to take time for annual visits and preventive screenings, including a yearly mammogram. We recommend women have yearly mammograms starting at age 40. Getting regular screenings may help find breast cancer early when it's most treatable. Start a conversation with your doctor about the right screenings for you. We are here to support you.
Schedule your mammogram today at ascension.org/Wisconsin Mammogram.
And we're back. Once again, I'm your host, Dana Johnson, from Pink Perspectives, powered by the Pink Table Talk. And joining me, I'll just have the ladies introduce themselves again for those of you who are just joining us. Dee, can we start with you?
Hi, I'm Dee.
Hi, I'm Vicki.
Hi, I'm Wendy.
And I'm Teresa.
So when we broke from commercial break, we talked about the aspect of how have you been mentored, or how has someone mentored you in relationship to understanding the importance behind your annual mammograms. And Vicki left us with her thoughts, and Teresa, if you care to share as well.
Well, I have a cousin who is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And knowing that she went through that and how early she went through that, kind of also reinforced me to do what I needed to do to make sure that I was okay as well. And so just seeing someone else's journey and them being able to talk to you about it, and you being able to, you know, encourage them to keep moving. And today she is still cancer free. So she's a two, and I'm hoping to get on here.
All right, let's speak it into existence.
She is awesome. She's awesome. Yeah.
Look in that camera, because we got a lot of people joining us from across the country.
She is
Speak
awesome.
that
I'm not even going to
into
tell her that. I'm
existence.
just saying she needs to speak her story. It's powerful.
All right, maybe you might have to, you know, be here and come back to
A
the
little
table.
influence.
Come back to the table. We encourage it.
Okay.
And again, as we say, let's have the conversation is our tagline. So let's continue the conversation. So as we continue on, I'd like to ask the ladies if you could share, why was it important for you to come and join me for a seat at the table? What made you think that the platform that I've established is important? Who would like to talk on that?
I'll go. For me, it's important, the awareness for women of all women, but especially women of color. And I feel like it's important that we are proactive and not reactive. So if we get it out to everyone, hey, you need to get screened for your mammograms early and often, at least once a year, that's why I came. And I just want people to know it's not scary. It's something that you're gonna appreciate doing, because if you can prevent something ahead of time, before, you don't want to be going to the doctor when you in stage 4.
Exactly.
You want to get ahead of the game, and if there's nothing there, there's nothing there, and we're good.
Right.
But you have to do it every year after 40.
Exactly.
That's true.
Anyone else care to share their perspective?
So I know that I'm here because your mom was part of my village. And so the importance of supporting you, and also keeping her in mind, keeping her spirit moving, that's what I'm here for.
All right, I'm trying to work on these tears now.
Like Vicki, I wanted to make sure that you know I've never been forefronted with my support, but being that this is a touchy subject for us as Black women.
Yes.
And even younger women, because the younger ones are coming up and they'll probably be thinking the same craziness that I was thinking. So the more people that we can get this information out to, especially younger women,
Yes.
even older, because there's older ones like myself that was being ignorant to the fact. But if we can give them the facts of what they need to do as women to keep their bodies and families safe and healthy,
Exactly.
I'm all for it.
Exactly. And it's great that you did speak on the aspect of younger women, because we are seeing from the studies and from the advocacy and a lot of the research that's done behind the scenes that cancer is hitting women at a younger age. Now, we were always told at 40, that's when you should go get your first mammogram, and some people wait till 50, some people wait till 60, or some people wait until they're pushed. But now, women are being diagnosed as young as 25, as young as 30. So being able to have those conversations early within your family or within your network or people who you work with or just within your community is extremely key, because we do want to keep us all around.
And knowing that somebody in your family has actually gone through that, it's important from a family perspective to make sure you know your history.
Exactly.
And that you're involved with your history.
Exactly.
Just make sure that you are having those conversations so that everybody knows if there's an issue or concern, it's hereditary. You just need to make sure you do what you need to do for prevention.
We have our circle group. We talk about everything.
Everything.
We
Oh,
talk about everything.
Sometimes I'm like, TMI. But they're great memories that we build. But we always talk about preventive stuff. So supporting you, Dana, is important as well.
Absolutely.
No, we love you. We've been knowing you all your life.
I appreciate it.
But I'm just saying.
I appreciate it, and it's funny that you all mentioned that, just bringing it back full circle. And I'm certain that there are people who are viewing us today. Think about the relationships that you gather and who is your support system. And within our circle, as they mentioned, we made a point that we film this ahead of time on a Friday night. And Friday nights were very important because there were many days where we got together, as you mentioned, at a round table, or just to be able to bring a potluck together and to be able to fellowship with one another. And it was through those conversations that we were able to support each other, whether it be from breast cancer to what's going on with your children or what's going on with your family, and just relationships being built. So there are a number of different things that can be discussed. So as we talk about that, can somebody share who is your support system? And it can be someone that's sitting here today or just someone outside of that. Who is that person that you call upon? Because in situations like this, when we talk about breast cancer, having that support system will get you through what you're going through.
I mean, and in every circle, everybody has someone that they tend to lean towards. So that's my BFC right there.
Can you break that down for those?
Best friend cousin. So we connect on everything. Everything. So she would be the first to know if anything. So that is truly my support system. Now, saying that, these ladies right here.
It's not too many days that go past
exactly.
that we don't know what's going on.
We communicate with each other.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Good morning, family.
Yes.
How was your day?
Yeah.
Did you have a good day? Or anything that's happening, and especially something like this, we definitely have to take it seriously.
Right.
It is
Right.
something that
So
we need to
if it's a happy, if it's a sad, if it's a mad, it doesn't matter. We are supporting each other, and so it's been for my entire life. These are my older cousins, and so they've been my day ones, and they're gonna be my last day. They still gonna be here.
That's
so
right. We had good role models.
That's right.
Excellent role models.
The women in our family, we round table all of our life. That's all we know.
When I was a little girl, I saw round table.
That's right.
And you
was at the round table.
I was at the round table before I got sleepy and had to, rest off and go to bed.
Right there, we got a whole earful and listened to our parents, and they talked about everything too. Health, men, children, all of that. So that's where we get it from, and it's been beneficial for us. Definitely, we've grown and learned from it all. Yeah.
And you do have to bond with your family.
Yes.
You have to make that part of your day to day.
Yes.
To understand.
I feel that it speaks to our culture, because being able to just have that legacy and just being able to make certain that, like you all have alluded to, not just having it start here, that it started before us, and it was important to continue that. And as I'll go back to what Wendy said, making certain that our kids were involved. So having them, be able to understand.
They're at the round table now.
Right.
They're all
right. They've gotten old enough to get to the round table now.
They are. And did your mom was instrumental in making sure that you were. And how old is your mom today, Wendy?
My mother is 84.
This is what I'm talking about.
She still drives and do her thing, but she's all about making sure things are taken care of. She's like, whatever it is, how bad of the conversation it is, have it anyway. It's not going to go anywhere just because you're not having a conversation. But it's better to have that information, and you can use it very wisely.
Exactly.
And I like what you said, Dana, about starting with the younger ones, because even though maybe they're not at that time where they're going to get the screen, but putting it in their mind, so when that time comes and they get near that time, they're going to remember that conversation that they had with us or someone older than them, so that they'll stay, it'll stay in their mind to make sure that they get that screen.
I like the idea. Put it on TikTok. Put it on TikTok. Wait, and let Beyonce sing it.
It's
awareness.
coming.
I'm
All
just saying,
about
put it on
speaking
TikTok.
into existence. It is coming. There is another episode that will be airing along with this episode, and we will be introducing our new staff member, Nurse Chin, who is going to be coming from Los Angeles, and she will have Pink Table Talks with Nurse Chin, and she is going to be our social media correspondent, where she will have that TikTok reel and the information that we want to be able to take Pink Table Talk to the next level.
Make sure she's rapping on it now. She's doing something fancy while she's talking about it. That's the hook. For the young kids, am I right now? Am I right? The young kids, you gotta get them, but if you don't do that, make sure it's got a little hook to it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
As we get ready to come to a close, we'd like to throw it out to our live studio audience for one question.
My question is, what happens, how do we get this information out to the community on what needs to be done for what you guys are talking about? Because one of the questions you mentioned about is Congress, bill being passed. If the bill does not get passed, how do we still get our community to do what they need to be done?
So it's important that you ask that, because as we sit right now with members of Congress and having just coming back from Washington, D.C. this week, one of the priorities for the National Breast Cancer Coalition is the Metastatic Breast Cancer Access to Care Act. And that currently is a bill that has been rewritten, but is now being reintroduced to our new Congress. And we want to make certain that they are aware. And the one thing that you need to do is phone your congressperson. Let them know that it is important for not only that bill, but also the breast density bill that is coming before Congress as well. So can you ladies kind of speak to what his question was and what you think in regards to that?
I would like to say, I know that the bill is going to eventually pass, but we can't wait on Congress. Right. We as individuals have to touch people in the community who we come in contact with on a day-to-day basis. We have to get out there. We have to hit the ground running and get that information out until it's passed. We have to be our own advocate and one team to get this information out. And if we don't share with others, then they're not going to know. So it starts with us individually.
Exactly. Anyone else?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Dee said, you have to get your information out to as many people as possible. And I've always said, we joked about it, but social media is, when anything happens, people go to social media, you'll find out. So if you want to get something spread like wildfire, put some information on social media, and you can reach far more people.
All the commercials they have on there, sometimes you have to put that out there too. I mean, your platform is nice. You know, it's the Pink Table, and you're talking about something that's important, especially to African Americans, women, men. So yeah, girl, could do some commercials, run them. Right. And that's the TikTok.
All right.
And one other thing I wanted to add, Dana, I know some years ago, before they had the 3D to examine your breast, it was just the standard way, but it wasn't as effective. Right. And the insurance companies, they at that time, because it wasn't something that they wanted to pay for, they wouldn't even do it, or they would charge you if you didn't to get their permission, and they wanted them to give you the permission. But I got the 3D anyways, and my insurance was like, I'm not going to pay for that. But I was fine. I called my doctor and told my doctor what happened. They said, don't worry about it. You don't even have to pay for it. We're going to comp that bill. And they continue to give me my 3D. But now it's in the insurance, part of the insurance, the 3D. So just like the bill you're trying to get passed, we got to just keep talking. And if, make arrangements. Don't let money stop you from getting a mammogram. Don't let a bill not being passed stop you from getting it. So we still have to do it. But there are certain things that some insurance companies don't want to accommodate.
Yes, but still your mammograms are still part of preventive maintenance.
Exactly.
So you should get them because it's free. It's no co-pays, there's nothing associated with that. So that's important too.
So thank you ladies for joining me for a seat at the table. We appreciate you being able to share not only your own personal stories, but how you have been mentored or how you mentor others. And we want to say thank you to our host and our studio audience member as well, because we wouldn't be here to be able to share these stories with you if we didn't have this venue to be able to do that with. So thank you again for joining me for Pink Perspectives powered by the Pink Table Talk. You can find us on YouTube at the Pink Table Talk YouTube channel. You can also find us on our website, thepinktabletalk.org. We are on all of the social media platforms, as Teresa alluded to, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, under simply The Pink Table Talk. Make certain that you put that "the" in there because that's the key. And then we are, again, as we mentioned, that we're going to have Kennedy Wiles, who has now joined us as our social media correspondent, that's going to be putting out the TikTok reels that we spoke about to make certain that you are aware of the legislation, but not only some of the other things that we're going to be bringing to this Pink Table Talk platform. So thank you again for joining us, and good night.